So I guess we'll get started. I wanted to hit really like three main things. One is how to post an event. And number two, we'll go into how to access the map library and the map librarian. And number three, we'll just talk generally about, any trips you're interested in, and we'll try to connect the dots a bit. So I'm going to share my screen of the website. And some of you might know how to do this, and some of you might not. So we're on this event right now. If you can see my screen, let me know if you can see it.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So I'm just going to go to the home screen, and you guys could follow at home if you want on your computer. And hopefully this is working. Yes, it is. Okay, so on the home screen, I guess the first thing I want to just demo is how to post an event. So any WCA member has access to posting an event, and you just go down the left side here, or I should say the right side, and you just click this submit an outing. So this template comes up called create an outing, and you just type in a name. So I'm going to call it test outing. And you got a drop down menu depending on what event you're doing. So in my case, we'll call it educational workshop. And I'll just put here TBD. So this is where you write the words about, what you're going to talk about. Event location, I'm going to say your place. It's going to be a Zoom meeting. And then the date, a calendar comes up. So let's make it the 25th. That's going to be a popular day. And then you click on the time thing and you just type in a time. So let's say it's going to be, I don't know, let's call it 01 o'clock. And then you click on the 008 there, you put 00 p.m. Okay, so 1 p.m. Cutoff, we'll make it 12, I don't know, 24. So that's the date that you don't want people to sign up after. And there's a drop down on difficulty rating. So it's a beginner event. Anybody can show up. Who's invited? Everybody. And maximum group, I don't know, 100 say. Minimum group, 2. You write the itinerary. We're going to talk about this, that, and the other thing. So I'll put TBD for now. Required items. So on a typical event, bring a canoe, paddle, PFD, stuff like that. In our case, TBD. Recommended items, camera, water, bug spray, etc. TBD. You don't actually have to fill in anything there, but I could just put words. Okay. Carpool, you can describe it or say see, event coordinator notes, blah, blah, blah. Cancellation, only sign up if you're intending to attend. Contact name. So this is where I put in my name or your name, whatever. And my number. Okay, and then my email. And the system knows who I am. So in theory, it figures out I'm a member and lets me do all this stuff. All right. And then this is an important button right here, notifications. When you're just doing your drafts, click on do not send the notifications for this update. If you do not click on this, the minute you go down the bottom and save it, it's going to go out. Now, the first time it goes out to the approval person. But I commonly just click on do not send notifications just to make sure nothing exits the building. You don't have to do anything with that. Sign up settings is really, you allow people to sign up online, or you can disable that feature. Then they have to email you and, call you or something. I'm the author. If you don't fill in this date, it auto fills when I started the date. So you can do a preview, but I would recommend you just do a submit. And because you didn't click this button here, it's not going to go anywhere. So it's basically, you're going to loop around and make sure it's perfect. So I just, usually say submit. Oh, I think I messed up and I should say draft. Okay, so because I'm a special person, I'm an administrator, I could, and I think I've just done that, I could actually approve the event and create the event. Most people don't have that ability, so they can only submit. And then what would happen is goes to our outings committee, and we have two people, Bill Ness and Mary Perkins. They review the event and they just, critique it to say, okay, it all makes sense and it's filled in properly, etc. So in this case, because I'm an administrator kind of person, when I clicked done, it basically approved it. So up here, I see these boxes. Most people would just see the view and the edit, maybe the access control and the participants. So the edit is obvious. When you click on edit tab, now you can edit the event. So if you made a mistake somewhere, you could say, oh yeah, I should have said TBD, TBD. And then you say, okay, oh, that's good. Yeah, that's good. That's good. That's good. And you go back down to the bottom. Again, you click do not send. You go all the way to the bottom and you could say now submit. Now what I should do is call it draft. So you go submit and it goes back to the approval person again. Usually Bill or Mary look at the event within a day or so, and then they approve it, and then this thing will say, it won't say unpublished. When it actually gets published, so in this case, if I was a Bill or I'm an approval kind of person, I can go to this tab and actually approve my event, which I don't want to do because then it becomes live. But when the event is approved, you can go to this tab called participants. And when people start signing up, you're going to start seeing a list here being created. So just to give you an example, and because it's not approved, I can't sign up right now, but that's the idea. I guess one more thing, go back to the view here. When the event actually gets approved, you'll have a page that looks like this. And if you want to sign up, you physically have to click on these links and it'll open up into, some waiver or some documentation, etc. And, you read the guidelines or whatever. You read this, okay, that's the waiver. You physically don't have to print it and do anything. You just basically, this box becomes now clickable. This box is still phantomed and this box is still phantom until you click on this link to open the page, and then you start reading about, COVID declaration, which says, okay, this is the 7 basic questions you get in a doctor's office when you go for a dentist or a doctor, and it says, do you have COVID? Have you been near COVID? You answer no. Okay, great. You physically don't have to print the paper. You just have to go to the event and click, I've read it. And the same thing for the guidelines, the last bullet. You click on the link, and these are our general guidelines that have been around for a while. It's handy to read this like once a year just to understand, yeah, okay, refresh your memory, especially beginning of the season. Then you go back to the original event and you click on that. And now these 3 boxes pop up. Because it knew this email is a member and I'm the member, now I can just type in my telephone number, or I can put gobbledygook there. I could say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, whatever, 0. Or if I want somebody to actually call me, it's good to put your real phone number. Same with your email. You could, well, I guess you need your email. And all this information is good. So I'm going to sign up with this bogus telephone number. But basically now the organizer will, so I'm the organizer in this case, the participants sheet will list me, oh, here I am. And yes, I'm, because I'm an admin, I'm on all these user types, but basically I'm a member. Most members will just see this. And you'll have a list of all the people that are signed up for the event. So that's my 5-10 minutes on how to do it. It's pretty straightforward. If you ever need any help, you can always go to the website and just do this help, or you can go to the contacts list. That's maybe the better way to do it. So you can ramble through this, and usually info@Wilderness will get somebody to answer your question, or my email here, or any of the people down here, like Bill Ness.
Yeah, call me,
Yeah.
and I can walk you through it.
Okay, excellent, Bill. Okay, so that's my little bit on how to post an event. So
Can
let's
I
go
add a
on.
couple of hints for people?
Okay, sure, go ahead, Bill.
First of all, the easy way to do this is just to use WordPad or Word and type out your description there, and then just cut and paste, rather
That's
than
good, yeah.
trying to use the online form. It's easier to work with. If
Okay.
you've done the same trip or similar trip in the past, or someone else has, you can always cheat by going to outings, then press past outings, and you go in there, find the description of the trip, say that was done last year, and you can just copy and paste that description and modify it as necessary for you, but don't reinvent the wheel. Use stuff that's already there.
Okay,
Now,
good idea.
If you make some sort of an error, grammar, spelling, dates, or something like that, I'm going to come back to you and ask you to go into your outing and correct it. And you're going to start thinking, lazy jerk, why don't you just do it while you're in there? Excuse me. And the reason is because of the way this system is set up. If I go in and make the changes, suddenly the system has it taken over by me, meaning if later you want to make some change, like a date or a meeting place, it won't let you do the changes, and you'll have to come back to me and tell me what to go in to correct. So that's why I may occasionally come back to you. Which is also why it's a really good idea to put the description down in Word first, so you can proofread it carefully. The other thing is, if you're doing like a day or a weekend trip, it's really handy to go into the itinerary, or where we meet, and put down the actual driving instructions, how to get to the put in or the meeting place. It will save you a lot of hassle later, because otherwise you're going to have to go send out emails to all the participants, and you hope you get them all if it's a big group. This just makes it so easy for anyone just to copy or take a photo on their phone, and they know exactly where they're supposed to go.
Yeah. One of the things I've done, Bill, is what we put in, like a Google Map link.
Yes.
So you go on Google, you right click your point, and I can demo that. So here's I'll do Google Maps here, just so people know, I guess. Let's see if I have, yeah, I got that there. Okay, Ontario, fine. So I'm in Whitby, so I'll just do Whitby. Okay, so we zoom into Whitby, and let's just imagine I live, I don't know, here, say. So I do a right click, and you can get the coordinate or say what's here. It comes up with this little window. You click on the link and it populates here. And then what you can do is share, and that gives you a quick link, and you say copy link, and these words here you stick on your event and say put in or take out. And if somebody clicks on that, they'll get exactly this view with, the street view or whatever. So that's a really handy way to, find places.
That's a great idea.
Okay. Anything else, Bill?
Yeah. The other thing it put down on, yes, think carefully about what requirements you're going to set for equipment, skills, experience, just to make sure that there's no misunderstandings as to what's needed. For example, because I often do early season whitewater trips, I'll always specify that you must be wearing a wetsuit or dry suit. You need a whitewater boat with full flotation. I never used to do that, to me, it seemed obvious that you would need these things. Well, what's obvious to me may not be obvious to others. Then you find people showing up for a March trip on the Credit River, wearing shorts and rubber boots rather than a wetsuit or dry suit. And it's like, I realized that's really only my fault. I'm assuming everyone will realize it, especially if you're dealing with novices. I wouldn't assume anything.
Yeah. Now, one of the beauties of the club is we have all these levels of, class 1 river, which anybody can go on, basically. So we're attracting, novice people, and we're taking them to become intermediate or experts eventually. So it's always like an issue sometimes when you don't critique who's on your trip, just so that they have a good time and they're prepared. And it's no big deal. You just have to talk to people about, exactly what to bring. And if they don't have everything, there's sometimes people can lend stuff. So that's handy too. Okay. And then we've got recommended items to bring. I kind of gave an example of, bug spray and suntan lotion and whatever, stuff like that, camera. It's just, your recommendation. Yes, Isadora.
Hi, Gary. I just wanted to point out to the group something that I discovered the last time I posted something, and that is when you put your name and your phone number down, your event is instantly, your event is going to be findable on Google search. So somebody who's Googling up the Grand River will see this outing without being a member, and they will have your email address and your phone number. It's on Google. I can see the last, Grand River event is Googleable. I just have to Google Grand River and there I am. And I was smart enough not to put my phone number in there and just my email address. But I was getting people emailing me saying, hey, I want to come. And I was realizing, and I would put them on my list, and I realized later they weren't members and therefore hadn't signed some kind of the waiver. So you have to be careful that when people are emailing you and not going in through the system to say that they're coming, that they haven't signed the waiver.
What you should do is say, please sign up on the event.
Online. Yes.
Right. Now we have an option we just created on the website where we could invite anonymous users. And anonymous users is a non-member, basically, according to the website. Some events like this workshop, I don't have a problem with anonymous users signing up because I want to attract new people, of course. Maybe some, modest average events, you could say, okay, we'll let people outside sign up. Now, when they sign up, because their email is not recognized, it will post it as somebody anonymously signed up for this event. And you'll see that on the participation list, basically. To give you an idea, on this event, we had a few anonymous participants sign up. And this is an option. The organizer can click on these buttons and I can show you how to do that. So you can see here, there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 anonymous users signed up for this event. And here's the other people that signed up. So we have this new function because I turned it on, but it defaults that it's not turned on. You would have to ask Bill or myself, and we would go in and there's this new tab called Grant, and that grants anonymous users access So sometimes you want that, sometimes you don't want that. You know. So
You
that's good to
certainly-
hear.
You certainly don't have to put in your phone number, and
Right.
you may choose to create like a Gmail address to just for WCA or some other things. Like I've done that of selling stuff on Kijiji, and I don't want my personal email address out there.
Right. Yeah. So the email is the critical thing. So if you want to be anonymous, you could say it's Gary A. WCA at Gmail, and you invent a Gmail, and you would register on a site as a member. So that would be your email for the site, but your name, you could just say Gary A. It doesn't have to be the official username. And as far as telephone number, as long as you put some digits in there, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever, it accepts it. So a user will realize, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is not a phone number. And, you're Gary A, and your email works. And then what happens is once you connect and you realize it's a real person, it's not a stalker or something, you can carry on and trade the official information, of course. Okay, so that sounds good. What I'd like to do now is switch to part 2, and that's the map library. So again, from your home page, if you're a member, I should say, you're going to see this left-hand side. And one benefit is called the map library. So you would click on this and just wait for the computer a bit. Let me see if I can zoom this up a bit here so you can actually read it. There we go. It's a little better maybe. Okay, so the map library is basically like an event. And it basically, you go through it and it says Gary James is our librarian, and I'll introduce Gary shortly. And we just posted this event for, I don't know, 2 years from now. And we talk about what the map library has. So basically, the WCA has been in existence since 1973. So we got roughly 48 years of maps and information from past members or members that are retired, and they gave us their trip notes, they gave us their marked up maps, etc. So what Gary's done is he's taken all the maps and he's put them in order. So these are the numbers where you would find a map, the title of the map, and what it pertains to. So we've got maps from all over Canada. So you go scrolling through this list, and we might even have a little bit more than this now. This list gets updated, say, once a year. So you get to the bottom here. This is the end of the maps. And then we have other maps. These are maps you can buy online, like at the Adventure Map, Algonquin 1, 2, 3. We've got some various, M&R kind of maps. So you can go scrolling through this, Canadian Wildlife Service, something map. What else we got here? Various pieces of information, Frost Center, Albert Highline Trails. So you kind of scroll through, it's more or less in order. You can find the river or the lake or the park you want to go to, and you might hit something in there. We also have, so you can see there's more M&R stuff here. A lot of these M&R things are like 10, 20 years old. So it's good information, and really can't find this information any longer. This is the source then. We also had, like I mentioned, past members who have retired, they've donated their journals and their trip reports. So again, we have a long list of rivers and stuff and trips reports and maps. We also have a selection of books. You can recognize Kevin Callan's there, some M&R books, Hap Wilson's, Bill Mason, Kevin Callan again. So that's the information available. So how you access this information is basically go down to the bottom. And again, you got to click on these links. and all three of them. And because you read them once, you just click on them and go back to the home page. Click the three buttons that are now illuminated, type in your information, sign up. And what happens is it's like I'm signing up for an event. Gary on his side, who's in the audience, would get an announcement saying, hey, Gary Adaman just pushed the button and has contacted you. So I guess what I'll do now is I'll stop sharing and I'll introduce Gary. Let's see if I can find my screen here.
I do have your email. It's come in already.
Oh, excellent. Well, hopefully you approve me. Okay, I just got to find my unshare button here. Let me just find it here. Okay, found it. Okay, sorry, Gary.
Yeah, no problem. I do not have any administrative access to that page. As you stated out, if I take it over, I'm stuck with it, and you guys at your end can't deal with it. So I think it was left in Matt's hands to play with and work out all the bugs. The list on there is outdated. I've received several more maps and books since that's posting. So what happens is you reach out, you let me know what you want. I can actually send you now an Excel spreadsheet with all the maps, which one of the things Isadora liked, because you can actually search the Excel sheet by name or by number and find out what's around.
Okay, this is good to have Isadora on the line, because then you're like a user.
Yeah,
that
I
uses
realized
them.
afterwards they were coming, but I didn't want anybody doctoring the master.
Right.
Yeah. So no, I mean, it's been good. I've got people right now looking for the Horton River and the Keel River. They've contacted me. The Keel River is really good because it's down at Leslieville in the beaches area, and I'm gonna meet up with him and drop it off. The Horton River, though, the guy lives in the States and he wants it mailed down there. So it's going to cost him an arm and a leg to mail it down and back, but it's at his expense. He's willing to do it. That's okay.
Yeah. So what generally happens is you mail it, and that person who's a member, photocopies it, whatever, and they keep it for a couple weeks, month, whatever, and then they send it back to you, right?
Yes. Well, and I'm in no rush until the next person wants it. Right. And that has happened as well. Last year, the French River, I had someone contact me, wanted the French River package. I sent it out. And during that time, a second person came on and said, I'm doing the French River. I was able to connect the two, and sure enough, their trip overlapped a little bit. And they were able to start exchanging information about the trip and adding to the package as well. So when I finally got the package back, both of them had added more information to it so that I can give it out to the next member as well. So
that's beautiful. Yeah. The other thing I think you do, Gary, is because you've been in the club so many years, you can connect the dots between somebody wants something and a person that did the river, park, whatever, 10, 20 years ago. Well, that is a real advantage for new members.
Isidora's looked at something. She's gone on a lot of trips and borrowed the maps. Someone calls me for a trip that Isidora's been on. I'll say, hold on, and I won't directly link because I don't know if Isadora wants that or any member. So I'm the middleman until they both accept it, and then connect them and off they go.
Yeah, so that's excellent.
Networking is very important, and the club is very good for that.
It's an honor system.
Yep.
Yeah.
Gary, do you have a list of rivers people have done who are in the club?
Yes.
No.
Well,
sorry. Yeah.
Yes and no. Yeah. Yes and no. We have that list that you see. We were trying to populate a map, and let me see if I can bring that up. There's only maybe about 7, 8 of us who populated so far. Just give me a second here.
I can tell you who donated what maps, and if they're still around and active, I can connect you with them. Same with the trip reports. Anybody that submitted a trip report, I can connect you with them as well.
Yeah, there's a feature here somewhere. I gotta find it.
The Nostogwin's good for that too. Go into the archives, who's done what, posted a trip, and I've reached out a couple of times to them.
Right, right.
Barely search my CCR. You can look for stuff for people and connect with them there. And honestly, in this club, as far as I can tell, there's like 2 degrees of separation. You know, you probably know somebody who knows somebody who's done it, or at least know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody who's done it. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
ask a bit.
And pre-COVID, the bonus was you're planning your trip so far in advance. There's usually a social meeting somewhere in between, and I can bring it to the meeting and give it to you there, and you give it back to me at the next social meeting afterwards. So it's a good handoff, and at the same time, you can meet other people that have been on the trip.
Gary James, do you have any idea what's happened to Jeff's maps? They've disappeared. You can't get them anymore. Is that?
Yeah, Jeff separated from the company, and
Right.
he started another map line.
Unlostify.
What called what?
Unlostify. They're really good. Just, I mean, Google up Unlostify, and you can.
If
still,
you go
like,
to the chat, if you turn on your chat, Andy, Matt just answered your question with, he wrote, well, he's about to write a link, I guess. No, but he says Unlostify. Yeah.
Got it. Got it.
Excellent. I wanted to show you one other feature. You asked this question, Andy, and I'll share my screen again. So let me go back to the home page. We started this about a year ago, but we need to get back on with, having members fill it in. This thing, gotta fight with my screens here. Okay, here we go. Share screen. Okay, can you see my screen, my home screen?
Yep.
Okay, so on the home page, you just go down here to member experiences in the benefits section. And what happens is there's a Google map there with a bunch of pinpricks on it. So you just kind of drag it around like Google Maps, okay? And generally what happens is members, and theoretically this is color coded, blue is Gary, and Bill is purple, and somebody else is green. But I mean, it's all over the place right now. But what we've done is we've individually, members have gone in and put in, okay, I did this river, and this is the put in, and this is the takeout. So you can click on, the first end, and that means somebody's done this. Now, behind the scenes, we could click on this because we have access to the Google Drive and find out who did that river. And now connect the dots between, somebody's done whatever. So what we're trying to do is populate this. And we've got maybe 7, 8 members who've done it right now, but we need to kind of, go in there and actually, so if I zoom in, to the Whitby area, I've canoed around, wherever Whitby. Now let me turn that off there. So, I put in here and taken out there and whatever, So that's the idea, that we're kind of saying that, this is the put in, take out of various rivers or lakes or whatever. And eventually, populate, the whole Canada, US, whatever, with members' input. So that's kind of going the way where you're asking the question, do you have a list? Well, it's kind of started, but it's, it's in its infancy, basically.
You said that you as the administrator knows whose dot belongs to whom. But the member who's just looking at it cannot tell who it is.
Yeah,
okay.
And it wouldn't be worthwhile because you would say, okay, it's the first river. And if it was Gary James, you don't have Gary James's contact information. So you'd have to come back to us. We're trying to make it so it's not like we're sharing the members' database, but we're sharing an aspect of, but we become the middleman. But once we connect the dots to say, Andy's interested in something that, Gary James did, everybody okay? And then you connect the dots, right? So that's the idea.
Right.
But we started this about a year ago, but we haven't pushed it to really populate it, because we've got 475 members right now. If everybody populated one river, we'd have 475 dots on there, you know? And most people have done 5, 10, 20 rivers. Now there'll be a duplication. So if you already see a river that's been indicated, well, then you don't have to put yours, of course. But you could see in Southern Ontario, well, I can see, there's a lot of dots. So, you know, most stuff has been highlighted right now.
Gary,
Yeah.
could you pull up the outing screen again? I couldn't see where the map was listed on the left-hand
Okay.
list. I'm wondering if I'm missing it completely, or I'm seeing a different screen than you are.
Okay. Well, maybe that's the issue, is because I'm an administrator. Maybe that screen is not live yet. So this is it right here. Benefits, map library, partner match, member experiences, and outings insurance. What
So
do
I
you
just-
see?
I see benefits, partner match, outing insurance, and then club activities, the member experiencing and
okay.
it's not there.
Do you see the map library?
No, I just see
Okay.
partner match and outing insurance.
Okay.
Am I the only-
That's interesting. Okay.
Anybody else?
So maybe what's happened is our maybe our access is not turned on there. So we'll have to check that.
I have
I
it.
know you can get to the map by obviously going to December of 2023, you know, as a future event, which is right actually here, upcoming events, because we only have this event, the hot tent in January, Cliff Jacobson's talk in January, and the fourth event is this one. You can get to it from here if you see my mouse over here. But I guess I'll have to look into that and make sure those pages are turned on then.
I have it. I can see it on mine, and I'm not.
Yeah, because you're probably an administrator in a way.
I can see it as well, by the way.
Oh, can
so
you?
It's not
Okay.
just a question of admins.
Well, that's interesting.
I'm wondering, maybe if you can't see it, maybe are you logged in, or are you
Oh,
still there
that's
as
it.
kind of anonymous?
That's it. You have to be logged in.
Okay.
Yeah,
That would
try
be it.
that, Isadora.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, problem solved. Yeah, I'm surprised because we've had people, I think there was somebody in about 2 months ago pushed a button, and I could see, and when I go to the, you know, map library participants. So I'm just going there right now.
Andy,
You know, as an administrator, I can see who signed into the event.
Just also for your information, I noticed that you're talking before about anonymous people signing up for things. That it's not necessarily non-club members, but if you don't sign in, if you just respond to an email,
Right.
you haven't actually signed in. But if you do, but you can sometimes sign up for things and register for things.
Yep.
You'll be listed as anonymous,
Yes.
rather than having your name.
Yeah, and it's only if I turn on that feature, which I did on this event. And I also turned it on for the winter camping because Luigi has some friends that want to, you know, participate outside the club, which is fine. Yeah, generally the workshops and stuff like that, you know, we just go wide open because we're trying to attract new people, of course. Okay, I
Andy?
see Fred has joined us.
Yeah, sorry I'm late.
Yeah, no problem.
Andy, I was going to say, if you want to know anything about any river, talk to Fred. He's been there. He gave me all the stuff.
Yep.
I know he's been there.
Okay, thank you.
Isadora, did you check that you have access now to the map and stuff like that?
Yeah.
You do, eh? Okay, so you see the Google map with all the little things on it? Okay.
I see
I
map.
think what I'll do is I will make maybe some kind of video or something to say how members can actually access it and input the data, you know, like a user guide, because that would be a handy thing for people to see. When I looked at it, there was about 150 pinpricks on it. And there's only about 10 of us who've inputted so far. So, you know, everybody's put in about 15, 20. You know, I can imagine if we get like 50 members with, you know, roughly 10 each, it's going to be a lot of pinpricks. That would be a very handy guide to have. All right. So anybody else? I don't know, Christopher, I see you joined us. Does anybody want to talk about 2022 events? Any plans? I know we have this COVID wave happening. About 2 or 3 months ago, the executive agreed to, we're going to launch, 2022 events. I still think you could think about them and, start thinking about how to, put an event together. Maybe in, a month or two, this wave is going to be on the backside, and we'll be back to the risks that we've been associated with the last, summer or so. And, maybe things will be doable. Right now, it's looking a little sketchy for January. And
Will we
Christmas
be allowed to
holidays.
post?
Well,
I mean,
we made a decision in September, but you know how COVID is moving in waves? Whatever you decided there, now it's like all up in the air again. We are having a board meeting in January, mid-January, which we'll discuss again. My feeling is you could probably put an event together. And do we push the button? I mean, at the end of the day, we could push the button. And at the end of the day, if there's an issue in springtime, we just say it's on hold, or we postpone it, or we cancel it.
did you solve the insurance problem though? I thought that was the problem.
Well, the original issue was insurance, but we've got to the point where we felt it was low risk. Plus, we've got the COVID protocol, the guidelines, those 3 boxes you're checking to say you're not COVID, whatever, contagious, you're fully vaccinated and you're following the guidelines, Plus, most of our events are outdoors, right? In small groups typically. So it would be up to, the organizer to really, if you want to organize something, you're, thinking that all this is in line with the government guidelines and whatever your conscience is to launch an event or not.
It was just we had our club insurance didn't cover us properly, and that was why.
That's right. Yeah, there is no, if somebody sued us for a COVID related issue, there is no insurance for that.
Okay, but no other club does have that either.
Nobody has that, and no company has that either. So, that's the norm these days and what the issue with the insurance is, they've got to catch up to get some history to be able to, come up with a premium if they want to do this thing. So it's one of those catch-22s. You need time to figure out what the premium could be. So right now, there's no insurance that any company or any club has for COVID-related liability.
The situation has evolved enough that we're quite comfortable with it. Firstly, last summer, the provincial government passed legislation that greatly restricts people's ability to sue for COVID infections. They raised the standard for lawsuits from negligence to gross negligence, which means basically if you want to do a trip, Isadora, and you're group camping and you want to lick the spoon and then put it back in, well, maybe that qualifies as gross negligence. But if you're behaving in a reasonable manner and someone just happens to get infected, there is no chance of them really being able to successfully sue. I know we all see these personal injury lawyers who advertise, you don't have to pay, and you don't pay us till you get paid. Well, when the province moved the bar to gross negligence, these guys realized that it was going to be very hard to get any payments, meaning that they could spend an awful lot of time on a case that goes nowhere. And they're not interested in that. So that's changed things a lot. Plus, as far as we know, there have been no lawsuits involving individuals who have been infected. It's tough to do, tough to prove. And we are Tom is very active in keeping his finger on changes in COVID protocols that have been issued by the government, and we are diligent in making sure that we follow all the government's mandates for safely conducting activities in the world of COVID.
I think just add one further thought, something, Gary, something no doubt we'll discuss. I think we're probably all wondering how widely available tests will be, you know, over the next few months. And it may become quite standard that every time you walk out the door, you give yourself a test. And that's something for us to, you know, I don't think we've had visibility around that, but clearly that's something that can affect the risk of a group. So that's something to think about. It's currently in our protocol that you haven't had a positive test within a couple of weeks of the start of the trip. It may be that we revisit that for some more positive or more sort of clear affirmation that everybody's free and clear before embarking, because you could literally take it before you get in the boat.
Yeah.
For what, you know, assuming they're broadly reliable, but that's something to think about.
Yeah, we could talk about, and our protocols we've been working on for a year, so it's just a constant iteration because the waves are going up and down, and every time we react saying, okay, there's the 7 things the dentist asked, let's ask those, you know. So you could see when we have our documentation, it says created on a date and, you know, revised on another date. So it's a living document right now a bit. And, you know, the testing Tom mentioned, that sounds like another interesting thing to explore. Because if you're an organizer or anybody in your group has a higher, you know, concern, you'd go to the next level, right? And you say, okay, everybody has to do a test because you're in charge of your group.
Okay, but fair. So like assuming next summer I can book a trip with an outfitter or get, you know, pay somebody to shuttle me, assuming that businesses are somewhat open at, say, reduced capacity, will the club allow you to post?
Well, we've decided that as of January, we will allow posting. I would suggest that if you are planning a longer, more complex to organize trip for next summer, that's a long way from now. And I would say, go ahead and post it because you're going to need a lot of lead time to organize it. And, you know, June, July is a long way off and a lot can change, you know, from a more positive perspective about COVID. Go do it.
Yeah, and we know we were looking pretty
Do I
good about 2 months
an
ago.
announcement?
And Omicron is, you know, jumped up all of a sudden. But in 2-3 months, it might come back down because, you know, everybody's been exposed.
Well, fair, but like, so what I think I'm hearing 2 things. One is that Gary is saying we're having a meeting and we're going to confirm that we're going to allow postings in January. And then I'm hearing Bill Ness saying you can, sorry, wrong finger, but you can hear, but you can post in January. Do I wait for another announcement before posting?
Well, I would say as of September, we had a board meeting and we agreed we're going to post for 2022. My, you know, stepping there is we've always said in every monthly newsletter saying, you know, things could change. And of course, something's changing now. I do kind of agree with Bill. Post, you can always put it on hold, you know, you do all your planning. If the wheels fall off the wagon and say, you know, springtime and you're having a spring trip, you just say, I got to push it, or, okay, it's off this spring because the water's gone and I have to wait for next year. So, you know, that's the plan, I think. And we've done that. We had Sandro had the Cascapedia. He had it thing. We had, I don't know, 8 people signed up. It's in, you know, New Brunswick. And we got to the point Quebec wouldn't let us in. And then I think they would let us in, but by then it was too late. So it just happened. So he put on hold and he bumped it a whole year to 2021, and the same thing happened. So we basically ended up, after a couple postponed, and we just said, okay, cancel it and we'll try again in 2022 or 2023, whatever. So I think the best thing is just come it up, post it, attract some people, start the process, and you always have that rider. If the wheels fall off the wagon, well, we can't do it.
Never any.
I think most people would understand that,
Yeah.
given the current situation, that it would be a shame for you to miss out on a good summer by delaying. And, as Gary says, if the wheels fall off, so be it. It just has to get
Yeah.
Wheels could
postponed.
fall off any time for any reason anyways,
Well,
sickness.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the flip side is some of these trips, you could just downscale them to smaller groups, family groups, or a few close friends. So it's not a WCA event, but it's down to, 2 canoes or something, 4 people or something. And you make sure all those people are in good shape, i.e. they've been self-isolated almost, and they're not sick for the last 2 weeks or whatever. So that's a route. Or as Tom mentioned, we have these tests coming in. If we can get our hands on them, that would be a good, vehicle to test, a couple of days before, ideally, and then you don't have a surprise on the day. But that would be something to look into.
Thank you.
Christopher, you got any trips planned for the summer?
Yeah, definitely. I'm sort of just waiting on the train. Like I guess originally I wanted to do the Bonaventure, like Sandra made it sound so great, and then but I sort of I'm feeling work coming in the spring, so I thought I got to downscale a bit, and I also thought I want to take my kids. If I'm going that far, I better drag my kids along. So I'm hoping to do the Sand in the spring and the Agua in the fall, if I can, and use the Algoma rail system. But I'm still waiting. I haven't had any confirmation that it's a go. And the other thing is, I'd like to drive through the States to get to Sault Ste. Marie from London here. So that's another thing I want to do. As far as this summer, I'm just going to be on the Petawawa and the Madawaska and stuff with the family and stuff.
You mentioned there was a couple rivers out in the Wyerton area.
Oh, well, the Saugeen, like
The Saugeen, and there was something
Yorrie,
else you meant, the Maitland.
Maitland. Well, we're there all the time. We're there. So I was going to post the Saugeen for sure. I was going to post that and I'd just get people to stay at the cottage because Yorrie wanted to camp. There's no way I'm camping when I have a cottage half an hour away.
Yeah.
He can set his tent up in the front yard. But the Saugeen's a great run in the spring, especially higher up. And I can't remember the 2 towns, but there's a 30-kilometer run that's in the early spring. Is quite fun. And the Maitland is fantastic. And like the kids and I are on that.
Yeah.
At least till
I've hiked beside the Maitland, and it's like a class 1.5. It looked really nice.
Maitland.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can run the waterfall there at Ben Miller if it's up high enough. I've never actually. That's the only section of the Maitland that I haven't done. But I definitely those areas are fantastic.
Yeah.
They still do races on those rivers?
Well, it's the best. Well, the Thames, there was always the Bunny Bundle in between St. Mary's and London, and that I think by the time May is mid-May, that section's too low almost. I go April there, maybe even sometimes march on the Thames from St. Mary's down. And then I don't know, one of my friends, Steve, is the racer. And they do have races around, but I don't paddle that fast, actually.
I think,
there's quite a few.
members would be very interested in those rivers because we never go there, right? It'd be
Yeah,
excellent
like,
if you can post those things,
yeah,
especially when you're a local, you know where to go and that sort of thing. So that's the benefit of somebody like you being out there.
yeah, like Port Rowan, Big Creek.
Yeah.
Boy, if you enjoy birds, early spring, it is just extraordinary. There's a bunch of runs, and I go with Wellington Waterloo Canoe Club, I think,
Yeah.
and one of their members every weekend we're out. The Asable, actually, it's quite neat. Yeah, there's quite a few rivers down here. We just don't have a good raucous white water like
Yeah, but some people
you
are
do
looking for that class 1 Grand River kind of, look, right?
Yeah.
Where it's kind of like a bobbly float, and
Yep,
they're fun.
Yeah. Yep, definitely in between Wyerton and Paisley's a nice run and some fun, and so well, when it's an hour and a half hours drive, this is what we do every weekend, and we save.
How about you, Andy?
Other...
Have you got any plans for the summer?
Most of my paddling partners have given up paddling for health reasons, actually. But there's I'm in Toronto now, but in the Belleville area, there's 5 different rivers in the spring. The first one we do is usually the Salmon River, the Lower Salmon. I think, and I know Bill is on those as well. One of the problems with the salmon is the upper salmon have both of those have had to be changed the last couple of years. So I'm connecting with a guy in Kingston who knows where the new put in and takeout are for the upper salmon. Bill, have you done that upper salmon section? Sorry?
Yeah, I've done the upper.
Yeah.
With Ian Malcolm.
No, these it's with John and one of his friends.
Okay.
John, geez, I can't remember his name now. It's not John Seagar, it's the other John. So there's that, the Beaver Creek, which is always fun, but that's a more extreme trip.
Yeah. Tried that last year.
Yes, the closest I've come to seeing somebody drown was on that river, and
it's exciting because there's lots of little turns, right?
Oh, and there's one blind turn there that
there's a few blind turns.
Yeah,
we were laughing at something, and when we turned the other way, there's like a waterfall.
And there's a big tree.
Very quick 90-degree turns, but you have time to get out of trouble, of course, but. If you're not looking
on that one,
you get in trouble.
On that one, one of my buddies didn't get out of there in time and got tangled up in a tree, and it can be really nasty. So there's that, and the Black is also a lot of fun, and that starts at Queensborough up there. So those are the rivers. The Scutamata being the one that goes.
How about the Moira?
Well, I don't say anything about the Moira because it's like we just go and go and go. It's like it's like our backyard, right? But in terms of training, in terms of warming up for the summer, I know I was on the Moira with Bill one time. I don't think there's a better river for getting out of your winter blahs than the Moira. It's got just about everything you want. Lots of surfing if you want to do that. Places to practice your turns and that sort of thing. So it's a lovely river, and that's where we usually will be as soon as the ice breaks up.
And it's a pretty wide river, so you can move around in the spring because there's lots of water usually. So it is fun. I mean, I've always enjoyed the Moira. Now, one of the things on the Moira, there's the takeout at Lata has just changed. And we did post something on
Yeah,
CCR
I saw that.
and in the newsletter just to highlight that to people. I might make a video on that. I was thinking maybe Bill and we'll team up with Ian and we'll just have a little, 2-minute blurb on, what the issue was and how we came up with the solution there. And Bill did most of the work
Right.
there. It was excellent.
Well, I'm glad to see Gary has let people use that takeout, but that's awfully close to the dam.
It is. Yeah.
I'm wondering if the other side would work because there's a road on the other side as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. If there's a
I
high
have-
flow, you got to watch it there.
yeah, that's really close. Yeah.
I talked to the owner on the other side, and the exit from the river there is really awful. It's big chunks of broken rock for about 10 feet. Steep exit, not very good at all. One thing I would suggest to people is that they be really careful about the takeout in very high water. Like this spring, assuming we're going to be able to go, I would move the date back a couple weeks just to make sure that it's not super high. Because it is really close to the dam, and I don't want to see any accidents there. If the flow's lower, it's not bad. At high level, though, it's roaring down there.
Yeah, that river can be dangerous. When the water's really high, and not just at that spot, but other places as well.
Yeah, like I've done it when the put in at Chisholm's Mill, the parking lot was flooded.
Yeah, there was no waterfall. It just flowed across.
Yeah,
Well, it was a drop, but not big.
I wouldn't do it at that level anymore because I'd be very concerned about the new takeout.
Yeah.
Well, there's that, and there's when the river starts going through the trees, which it does when it gets very high, that's when I get nervous.
Yeah.
I don't want to be paddling through trees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I like it a little lower anyway, because there's more play spots. When it gets big like that, it's just huge waves and not a lot you can do.
Right.
The medium level to me is really nice.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully we'll see you guys on the Mara. And maybe we'll see Chris and family at Palmer's on the Canada Day weekend this year. That was a bummer last year, not being able to go.
We're there first week of July. So
yeah.
Yep. My daughter and I paddled the Spanish last summer, and she was fine, but she's I don't know if she's 13. She's 13. I need somebody at Palmer to throw her into the rapids and let her get comfortable that way. She's never really tipped with me, so
yeah.
I need to get them to do some of that with her.
Yeah, that's what we've done normally on that weekend. Often there's a group of novice whitewater paddlers, and we just get them used to it and teach them the basics, make them feel comfy.
And if you wipe out 10 times, it's actually part of the learning because you're getting comfortable with the water and bobbling around, and then get back in the boat and whatever.
Yeah.
So
I think we're all hopeful for next year.
Yeah. Well, I'm still a novice myself. I just we were always flat water until COVID, and then as my partners all disappeared, then I thought, well, this is time for me to try to get onto rivers and do some whitewater. So it's been a good last year or two for me in a way.
Yeah. I would say if you're with the group, you can go through class 1 rivers, class 2, and you get this progression of skill set because you're actually, for me, I just copied something that somebody did correctly. You don't copy it if it doesn't work, of course, but you just watch them and you try to replicate it. And actually a lot of members that are better than you, they'll give you little, clues about, tilt more or whatever, So you just gain it by going on little events, and these 1 day, 2 day events, you end up, bringing up your skills. And we've all been there. We've all started with nothing and ended up with something. And now, the people that have something are trying to pass that information on, of course.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I have to take off, folks, so.
okay, I'm gonna
wish you
wrap it.
all-
Yeah.
Go for
Thanks
it.
for showing
Wrap
up. And we'll, post this, and hopefully that's going to help some people that want to post events or access the libraries or whatever.